You've probably heard this a million times before. Israel is not committing genocide, because if Israel wanted to exterminate every last Palestinian in Gaza, well, it would, in an instant.
And when you look at the Israeli military and how they're conducting themselves inside Gaza, if they wanted to commit a genocide, I guarantee you it would have happened within 30 minutes after October the 7th. They could have leveled all of Gaza with the military equipment they have within 30 minutes. They're not doing it because it's not in their interest to commit a genocide in Gaza.
Do you think that Israel is actually interested in committing a genocide? Because if they wanted to commit a genocide, well, let's think it through. It would take well less than the time that I've been on this show today for every single Palestinian to be eradicated, given Israel's might.
I just want to point out another inconsistency, another paradox in their narrative, which is Israel is so strong and it's uneven, right? They're this genocidal, crazy, strong with F-16s and poor Palestinians. So if we're so strong and we are able to flatten Gaza, why are we sending in foot soldiers? If we're looking to commit genocide and we want to just kill, then why aren't we not bombing from the air and just flattening it to make it to like a football field? Why are we sending in our soldiers? Why is my son going into Gaza? Why? If we wanted to commit genocide, we want to kill them all, we wouldn't send in soldiers. So just another inconsistency in the long list of their inconsistencies.
You know, if the Israelis wanted to commit a proper genocide in Gaza or the West Bank, they could, right? I mean, the power is that asymmetric. So the fact that they haven't committed a genocide proves that they don't want to.
If Israel wanted to exterminate the Palestinian people, they could have done it freely.
If the IDF chose to destroy Gazans as a people, they could kill almost everyone in Gaza in a matter of weeks. So ask yourself, why haven't they?
I am tired of the word genocide. Let me tell you about genocide. If Israel wanted to commit genocide, they could. They have the capability to do that. They choose not to.
I've said this many times. Piers, if Israel is trying to commit genocide, they're really, honestly bad at it. Because they could have done genocide on October the 8th. We know they have the military capacity, but they haven't.
In this video, part of my series debunking what I call international Hasbara law, I will use actual international law to show you why this claim is BS. It is actually relatively difficult to identify a single individual originator for the argument that if Israel wanted to commit genocide, it would do so much more effectively than what it is doing right now. I was able to track what I think is the first ever utterance of the claim to a debate between Piers Morgan and Owen Jones on 23 November 2023.
This is why hundreds of genocide scholars, people who are actually, unlike you and I, experts in the field of genocide studies, fear that a genocide is taking place. So the difference between Israel and Hamas is Hamas does not have the capacity to wipe out Israel. Israel is wiping Gaza off the map. That's the point.
You've actually exposed the weakness in your argument. Israel does have the ability to kill everyone in Gaza tomorrow, and they're not doing it. In fact, well, hang on. What they're doing, and it's indisputable, they are issuing a number of warnings repeatedly to people to go south. Wait! And stay out of northern Gaza, right? And then they're pulverizing it with airstrikes, and now they've gone in on the ground, and they're waging battle with Hamas fighters, terrorists, right? No, hang on. So my point is this. Israel could, if they wanted to, kill everyone in Gaza. They decided not to do that.
Is your definition,
genocide is where you want to kill everyone.
Sorry.
Since then, Piers Morgan has used the same argument in other occasions.
Professor Schabas, the argument from Netanyahu and others on the Israeli side is quite straightforward. They say they have the military capability and the firepower that if their intention was to wage genocide in Gaza, they could have done that instantaneously and blown the whole place to pieces in a few days. That is the argument. What is your response to that argument?
But Piers Morgan was not really the one to turn this argument into a viral catchphrase. No, that honor belongs to the Instagram page Jew Belong, founded by Archie Godesman and Stacey Stewart, two American marketing professionals. Jew Belong's stated mission is to help Jews, particularly what it calls disengaged Jews and non-Jewish members of the Jewish communities, find the, quote, joy, meaning, relevance, and connection that Judaism has to offer. It believes, the group says, in a Judaism that always stands for inclusion. As part of their activities, Jew Belong sets up edgy advertisement campaigns seeking to raise awareness about matters relevant to Jewish people. On 28 December 2023, about a month after Piers Morgan's debate with Owen Jones, Jew Belong posted the following image on its Instagram page. It reads, "Trust me, if Israel wanted to commit genocide in Gaza, it could." The message generated considerable controversy online, and it was eventually deleted by Jew Belong, and yet the harm was done. In an ironic twist, the phrase that rightfully, in my opinion, shamed Jew Belong ended up becoming one of the most pervasive and shameless genocide denial tools in the Zionist arsenal. The fundamental idea at the root of this claim is intertwined with a concept known in genocide studies as, quote, Holocaust Exceptionality, the idea that the Holocaust is not just a genocide, but a special kind of genocide. Advocates of this proposition see Nazi anti-Semitism as different from other kinds of hate. Many different peoples can be genocided, the logic goes, but only Jewish people were genocided for purely apolitical and racist grounds. Take, for instance, Holocaust scholar Yehuda Bauer's take on the Nazi genocide of the Roma. Their killing, he says, was not the same as the killing of Jews. Jews were killed for no reason, for the very fact of being Jews. The Roma instead were killed because they were perceived by the Nazis as social nuisances. If they overcame their status as nuisance, they could survive. Jewish people could not. Thus, Bauer refuses to see the Holocaust as anything more than the exclusive killing of Jews, a Judeocide as he calls it, and nothing else. Roma, LGBTQI+ people, disabled people, they were mass killed, but not like European Jews, at least according to him. This way of seeing the Holocaust as a special kind of mass killing has dominated public discourse about genocide to the point where, in the public's mind, only atrocities that look like the Holocaust, with its gas chambers, Einsatzgruppen, kill squads, and large extermination camps, can be genocide. Other things can be terrible atrocities, but not everything can be a genocide because that robs the Holocaust of its purported exceptionality. Thus, for instance, this mindset leads some scholars to interpret the existing international law of genocide in incredibly narrow ways, demanding that the inference of genocidal intent under the ICJ's only reasonable inference test needs to mean that if there is any other plausible explanation to mass killing that isn't the complete and apolitical extermination of a people, then it's not genocide. Thus, Gaza is not a genocide, it's counterterrorism. This is also why so few genocides exist in the collective social mind. Rwanda was a genocide, Srebrenica too, but nothing else. The logic behind this is that if everything is a genocide, then nothing is. But the practical effects of this mindset has ended up becoming nothing is ever genocide. Period. And if nothing is genocide, then nothing is genocide. This is why genocide studies have been moving away from Holocaust exceptionality since at least the 1990s. As Dirk Moses has convincingly shown, no genocide, not even the Holocaust, is apolitical and based on pure distilled racial hatred. As he points out in his book The Problems of Genocide, Nazis like Otto Ollendorf justified their killing of Jewish children not in their racial inferiority, but on grounds of national security. And if you kill their parents, they will grow up to hate the state and become threats, so better to get rid of them too, kind of logic. So for Moses, and most of genocide studies to date, I would say, all genocides are political and they don't all need to look like the Holocaust. This actually makes sense from the very definition of genocide. Many genocidal acts don't actually require a single person to die for genocide to exist. The main logic is that a group is trying to destroy another group's ability to exist as that group. When Russia smuggles Ukrainian children and puts them with Russian families, for instance, it is committing genocide against the Ukrainian people without a single Ukrainian needing to die to prove it. In other words, the argument that Israel is not genociding Palestinians because if it did, it would more closely approximate the Holocaust's supposed apolitical extermination and carpet bomb, nuke, or go house to house shooting Palestinians Einsatzgruppen style is fundamentally, morally, legally wrong. It's a mindset that sets up an impossible standard that inevitably fails victims of genocide. In fact, I would argue, not even the Holocaust is exceptional enough for Holocaust exceptionality. Think about it. The Nazis did not set up extermination camps from day one. The final solution was that. The last one, in a series of attempts. The Holocaust, as all genocides, was a process, not an event. It started with mass deportations, then pogroms, like Kristallnacht, then mass concentration in camps and ghettos, then the purported forced mass emigration to Madagascar, supposedly voluntary, then the mass executions of the Einsatzgruppen, and only when all of this failed or was too slow or impractical did the Nazis think of an extermination camp. If the Holocaust is only a genocide as of the final solution of 1941, then the Nuremberg laws, Kristallnacht, the Warsaw Ghetto, the Madagascar Plan, none of these would be genocidal. They'd be something else. I can't accept that. If a definition of genocide requires me to declare that most of the Holocaust was not a genocide, then sorry, that definition is wrong. This also means that the narrow reading of intent through the only reasonable inference test is also wrong. No genocide exists outside of other political contexts or objectives. Again, not even the Holocaust. In fact, you can make this kind of argument about all genocides and therefore conclude that no genocide has ever existed. Humans are messed up. There will always be someone who can think of a more terrible way to exterminate a group. Think about it. Why didn't the Spanish conquistadors simply shoot every Aztec and Inca they found? If they really wanted to genocide them, then they would not have put them to work in mines. Why did the US cowboys sign treaties with Native Americans? If they had really wanted to genocide them, then they would have shot every Native American in the head, not created so-called Indian reservations and signed treaties with them. Why did the Germans push the Herero into the desert? If they had really wanted to commit genocide, they would have shot them all in the face one by one. Why did the Bosnian Serbs separate the men from the women and children in Srebrenica? If they had wanted to commit genocide, they would have not separated the women. They would not have spared them. Why would the Hutu just tell people over the radio to just go and kill Tutsi? If they really wanted to commit genocide, they would have organized it centrally through the government and not through people with machetes. You can even do this with the Holocaust itself. The Nazis didn't just start killing German Jews. The final solution was exactly that, the final genocidal method deployed by the Nazi out of many others. This is why Raphael Lemkin, the creator of the term genocide, argued that it was a process designed to destroy the national pattern of a people and replace it with that of another. Systematic killing is not the defining characteristic. Lemkin referred to food shortages and confiscation of property as genocidal acts when done in the context of one such process. At the end of the day, each genocide is different and enmeshed in a specific political context. It is this context that defines how the genocide is carried out. In the case of the Spanish, they believed in evangelizing the indigenous communities they destroyed in the reducciones. The cowboys believed in manifest destiny and wanted land. The Germans didn't want to bother shooting the Herero. The Bosnian Serbs wanted to create an ethnically homogeneous Greater Serbia. The Hutu actually did organize centrally, but everyday people joined en masse. And Israel, well, Israel sees Palestinians as a group as a security threat that must be removed. There are, after all, as IDF soldier after IDF soldier says, no innocent civilians in Gaza to them. Why would Israel not simply start shooting people door to door? Or simply nuke Gaza? Well, frankly, because if they did, they would not have the plausible deniability card they are playing right now. It's an argument that seeks to deny reality by claiming there was a more efficient way to get to where we are now. If we wanted to genocide you, we would completely obliterate you. Yeah, you would. Perhaps it is fitting to end this video where it began, on Piers Morgan's show. Let's end with Professor William Schabas, one of the leading experts on genocide, completely obliterating this claim.
That is the argument. What is your response to that argument?
Yes, well, let me start by saying I've been studying this Genocide Convention, which is the issue here, for more than 30 years. I've taught it. I've written a book on the subject. I've written countless journal articles. I've read every judgment of the international courts and tribunals multiple times. I've read all of the debates when the convention was being adopted. This argument that we hear, which is that they could have killed more people, they had the opportunity to kill everybody or many more people, and they haven't done it. And so therefore, how could they be genocidal? Doesn't correspond to what the judges have said. So Jeffrey Lax has just mentioned the famous judgment of the International Court of Justice in 2007. They didn't say that genocide didn't take place. They agreed that genocide had taken place at Srebrenica, where there was this notorious massacre in 1995 over the space of 3 or 4 days in July. And when that took place, there were 7,000 or 8,000 Bosnian Serbs who were murdered by the, not Bosnian Serbs, Muslims rather, Bosniaks, by the Bosnian Serbs. And and the women and children were taken to safety. Now, nobody there suggested, credibly, that couldn't be genocide because they took people away, they saved people, there were people they didn't kill. They had the opportunity to do that. We know that even during the Holocaust, so I'm not a historian, I'm a lawyer, but I know lots about the Holocaust. I come from a family of Holocaust survivors. I had a great aunt who survived the Second World War in Berlin. So the Nazis didn't kill everybody. They were prepared to make deals, for example, to trade Jews. They tried to do it with the Hungarian Jews, to trade them for military materiel. Didn't work out. But, you know, it's a mixed, confused situation when genocide takes place. And this argument that they could kill more people, so it can't be genocide because they're missing that opportunity. It just, first of all, I find it to be wrong, morally wrong as an argument. But more than that, it's been rejected by the courts.
So there you have it. The claim that it can't be genocide because if Israel wanted to, it could have killed every single Palestinian in Gaza in an afternoon is bad Hasbara. Do not fall for it. Let me know in the comments if you have any suggestions for future videos like this one, and please don't forget to like and subscribe. This is a small but growing channel, so your interactions really do help me with the algorithm. Until next time.